Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video on my YouTube channel. I'm Nicholas and today I am re-uploading my most popular video. You may be asking why. Well, I will tell you why. The best way to find it out is by watching yesterday's video where I talk about it in all the details, but in short. Following the most recent policy changes, my most popular YouTube video, which was released back on August last year, was both age restricted and received limited ADs, as it is now deemed too brutal and too disturbing for YouTube audiences. And the first big problem with that is the fact that if that video, where I'm basically just talking non-stop with some footage playing in the background, is deemed not, good for all audiences, then literally every horror related video on YouTube would have to receive the same treatment, and you see where the problem is here. But it gets even more stupid, because the biggest problem here is that trying to appeal that decision did not work out. So I tried to chat with YouTube support about it and they said no, we can't do anything about it either. So you know what I did? I went ahead and re-uploaded the video on unlisted twice with the same thumbnail, which was maybe too brutal, and without it, and both times it received no restrictions. So in other words, it can't have been the system that put on the age restriction onto my video, because why would the same system now not detect the same issues from the first upload now on these new uploads? That makes no sense. So I'm now being stubborn and trying to experiment with this, as I will now officially re-upload this video without any editing on it, because how am I supposed to edit it? Am I supposed to edit out the scenes about the deaths that are literally the core part and the most important part of the video? I can't do that. So I will now leave this up. I will now leave this online and see how long it takes, or if it will even get age restricted at one point again in the future, just to find out if my most popular video really got screwed over for no reason at all, or if this will ultimately bite the dust as well. So yeah, new videos coming sooner or later. Yeah, it's been a while since we did a Supermassive Games related video. Look forward to it in a upcoming time. For now though, if you haven't seen this video yet, which is also one of the main things why I want to re-upload this video, because even if only a handful of people now get to see this video because they can't now watch the other video because it got age restricted, then it's already worth it. So yeah, that's it with me for today, and now enjoy the video. Welcome to the Death Rank, where we rank the best deaths in all our favorite horror games. I'm Nicholas, and today we are looking at Supermassive Games Until Dawn and The Quarry, released in 2015 and 2022 respectively. Sorry not sorry, but I'm a too big Dead Meat fan to not take the opportunity to use a video like this to make a little parody and pay some homage to one of my favorite YouTube formats in the kill count. Don't worry, we aren't going to be doing this all the video through, but enjoy a few more things here and there. Anyways, today we're focusing on one of my favorite games of all time, and the first game that I played on this channel, Until Dawn and The Quarry, specifically about their deaths. Today I will rank my 5 favorite deaths in both games, and the rankings will be determined by several things. The ranks can be decided depending on brutality, creativity, the weight within the story, the way your choices influences, the ones that feel like the most iconic or memorable, and especially those that got the biggest reaction out of you. How terrifyingly awesome can kills and deaths be with wendigos and werewolves running around? Let's find out and get to them. The entire sequence with Matt and Emily at the radio tower is one of the game's highlights for me, especially because of the convoluted flare gun choices that you can make that can really impact how it will all play out. And in this case, it can lead to this memorable death. In this case, if Matt is still alive and didn't already fall to his death earlier, you will be presented with either trying to save Emily or jump to safety. Emily will fall down either way, so if you want Matt to be safe, jump to the side, even if it will lead to Emily roasting the shit out of him in the end of the view forward. Now if you want to save her, you will fall down into the mines and be attacked by the Wendigo. If you don't have the flare gun with you, then it will lift Matt up and viciously hook him up through his jaw. It's a brutal scene with the tooth flying out, the way his mouth fills up with his own blood and he starts to suffocate on it, and the way you also visually see when his life truly gives out. It's an insane visual, extremely brutal, and easily one of the best deaths of Until Dawn. Games like these, one is always looking forwards to a death like we just saw with Matt. You know, the very brutal ones, the very vicious ones, the ones that are visually just very insane to see. But sometimes the more realistic deaths, like our 5th rank in the Quarry, can be just as effective and now even more terrifying. Chapter 3, if Jacob decides to swim after the potentially picked up roller arm, he can get his hand caught up in some barbed wire. If he messes up with the choices, he will stay stuck in there and ultimately drown. And as simple as uncreative as it may seem, it's actually such a scary moment. Drowning is easily one of the most terrifying ways to die within the real world. The feeling of panic and helplessness combined with your lungs getting filled with water and you slowly realizing you're dying and can't do anything against it, it's horrific and doesn't need any gore to be and feel brutal. It's a simple but extremely effective death that, especially given how terrifying it would be in real life, is easily one of the greatest deaths of the Quarry. As explained in the intro, what makes kills and deaths so special can be dependent on many different things. And in this case, it's the absolute sheer amount of brutality. When escaping Hannah and the mines, Emily will go onto a rock grinder and here she will have to either leap off or continue going. And if you decide for the latter and then mess up the following QTE, you are in for a soul-crushing experience, or in this case, lower body health. And Emily drops straight into the grinder and has to experience unimaginable pain for several seconds before the player can literally see the life fade out of her eyes, leaving her stuck in the machinery. Absolutely horrendous. The entire mine chase sequence of Emily is generally one of the game's highlights, and it potentially ending like this makes it even that much better. And as cherry on top of the cake, when you later with Mike and Sam enter Hannah's lair in the mines, you will find every dead body there. Or in this case for Emily's, only half of it, given, well, the other half got crushed in the grinder. Excellent. Truly one of the most memorable and brutal deaths in Until Dawn. Gunshot kills can be very plain and boring, especially when overdone. I mean, just look at the entire Purge series to be honest, you know. But one type of gunshot kill that will always be entertaining and will always make for a memorable death are a shotgun blowing up someone's head or face. And in this case, it's easily one of the most jaw-dropping moments of the entire game. When being confronted by the Hackett family, Laura would turn down the lights to cause some confusion that leads to a toggle for the gun between herself and Constance. You're presented with a spam button quick time event, and honestly, it's hard to 100% correctly guess at first what will happen. If I succeed, will I just take the gun? If I don't, will she take it? Or even kill me? Or will I kill her? And boom! In sudden and shocking fashion, Laura obliterates her face, leaving one of the most morbid and iconic images of the game behind. I think we can all agree that this moment triggered some of the biggest reactions out of the entire player base if they experience this death in their playthrough. And I think that is one of the best indicators that this is one of the most memorable deaths in the Quarry. You just can't go wrong with someone shooting off someone's face. Damn, you can really cut these out of context. What made rank 5 and 4 of my Until Dawn best death list so memorable were especially brutality. On my 3rd rank, it's much more than that. Ashley and Chris's relationship is one of the core parts of the Until Dawn storyline, and it can all culminate in an absolutely jaw-dropping moment. During the very memorable second saw trap in which Josh positioned 2 saw blades over the 2 of them, Chris will have to make the decision here on who to save. You know, not really safe, because the blades will only stop if apparently he either shoots himself or Ashley, or even do nothing at all. If you decide to shoot Ashley in this moment, then she will remind you of that very later on. In Chapter 8, when Chris and the stranger go on to try and save Josh just to see the stranger get killed, you will need to guide Chris to survival. If you manage to escape and reach a large door, Ashley will be there to open it for you to save you, right? Well, you were about to shoot her, and she did not forget. With a blank stare on her face, Ashley watches on as she leaves Chris to get brutally decapitated by Hannah, with his finest seconds of consciousness seeing the emotionless face of the girl he loves, and yet ultimately left him to die. Wow. Talk about your choices having an impact. The other versions of the death are great too, where if you mess up and have Chris get killed before reaching the door and see Ashley cry in pain about it, but this particular scenario probably got the biggest reaction out of me out of some of the deaths. The way your choices matter, the brutal kill itself, the way Ashley reacts, an absolutely bone-chilling and jaw-dropping moment, and truly one of the most memorable deaths in Until Dawn. This death is very, very rare to experience, and I doubt anybody got it in their very first playthrough, but that does not make it any less insane. Chapter 10, Dylan and Kaitlyn will have to escape the werewolves one last time. There are many ways that the sequence can play out, and in this specific one, it leads to the two having to hide in the kitchen. If you're like me and didn't break into the cabin and pick up a toy bunny and left it in the kitchen, what the fuck butterfly effect, it will lead to both of them getting slaughtered. Unless you go for the freezer nonetheless, but it will lead to Kaitlyn freezing to death and Dylan dying, or Kaitlyn survives so she's infected and Dylan may survive. If he doesn't, you know what the fuck butterfly. Now in this scenario, if you do pick up the toy bunny, you can use it as a decoy to lure Caleb into the freezer and ensure the best two survival. Unless you manage to mess up the final quick time event, which again literally can't happen unless you purposely do it. Then follows is an absolutely traumatic sequence. Caleb pulls Kaitlyn into the freezer with him and the door closes. And Dylan can do nothing but watch in fear and terror, knowing the fate of his friend, having to accept this reality as he listens to her screams. You don't get to see the kill itself, but you can hear the agony and pain in Kaitlyn's voice as she's getting slaughtered in such tiny space with no escape. Sometimes the most horrific deaths and kills can be the ones you have to imagine for yourself, and this death is a perfect example of just that. And if Dylan having to see all of this happening isn't already enough, he will then also proceed to find her slaughtered corpse from sunrise. Just damn. This death isn't just brutal and horrific itself, but also the mental effect it has on one of your other characters as it happens just truly makes this so insane for me, okay? It's easily one of the rarest deaths in the Quarry, but also, in my opinion, one of its most memorable. As mentioned earlier, gun kills can be very boring, but if executed right, they can be just as effective as any other, and in this case, they made for one of the most memorable moments in, honestly, my entire video game history. If Emily did not have her flag on to defend herself in the mines, she will get bitten, and if that happens, panic will arise in the safe room, as the others do not know if the bite is infectious. Given the situation, Mike aims his gun at Emily, threatening to shoot her to keep everyone at self, fearing she might hurt her Wendigo herself. Now the player has a choice to either not shoot or join the panic train and pull the trigger. If you do, the end result is one of the game's most memorable frames, simply horrific. The entire situation is a great usage of the choice system. No one knows yet if the bite is infectious, so the player could think that them messing up and getting Emily bitten may have doomed them, and if they don't execute her here, something worse might happen, only to a few moments later find out that the bite is not infectious with the corpse visible in the background. Damn. It's brutal, it's ironic, it's morbid, the way you just a few moments later realize that you messed up. This death right here, despite it being just a simple gunshot kill, is easily one of the most iconic moments of the entire game, and in my opinion, the second best death of the Quarry. Until Dawn. I'm leaving that in. While in Chapter 5 it's possible for Dylan to lose one of his hands, he probably should go for that, because if not, he may end up losing both of his arms and his entire life. Chapter 9. If Dylan made it out alive thus far, he and Kaitlyn will make their way to the scrapyard, where we become witness of the best scene in the game for me, the battle with Kaitlyn. Well, that scene may end in sheer brutality. As Dylan distracts the beast to save Kaitlyn, Caleb will focus his attention on him. Here the player needs to succeed 2 quick time events to ensure his survival. If the player does not manage to light up the gas torch, it's about to get messy. Miles Robinson's acting needs to be highlighted here, as the sheer look of terror on Dylan's face absolutely sells this moment. Nowhere to run, facing death eye to eye, no escapes this time around. Caleb absolutely brutalizes Dylan, ripping off both of his arms in the process, leaving Kaitlyn to continue on their own. Kaitlyn is one of the most, if not the most beloved character in the Quarry, so to see him go out in such a brutal way like that is an absolute stab to the gut. The facial acting by Miles Robbins, the kill and the brutality of it itself, the entire sequence and the way it plays out, truly one of the most memorable deaths, and in my opinion, the second best death of the Quarry. Before we get to the best death of each game, yeah, basically the Golden Chainsaw, I do also want to highlight some other deaths that didn't make it into the full final ranking. Until Dawn actually doesn't have that many other deaths overall, but some others that I thought are really memorable are Ashley dying as she inspects a trapdoor, Chris getting killed as she finds her head, and especially Emily getting her eyes gouged out in the mines. Talk about absolute brutality. Discovering that Hannah survived the fall of the prologue and ultimately turned into the terrifying Wendigo that may kill all of your characters is an extremely slow burning but satisfying story process, and one of the main reasons why I love this game so much. Even when I didn't even play it on my own, just realizing all of it while watching a playthrough was a mind blower for me and really makes this game so special. If Sam does not find the journal that describes Hannah's transformation to the Wendigo, Josh will not be able to recognize his sister, to the which Hannah herself will not be able to recognize her brother. She crushes his head with her bare hands. Wow, what an image. But what makes this death the peak of the game for me is the story within it. This is the only way Josh can die. If you do manage to find a journal, Josh will scream out to Hannah, who will proceed to spare him. But this fate is not him being saved, but ending up as Wendigo himself. This is no true survival for Josh. He can't escape this nightmare life. He will either become a monster or his head can finally rest. Not only is it Josh getting killed at the hand of his sister, but it's also the fact that it's his head getting crushed. We know that Josh is mentally ill and plagued by hallucinations and more, so the fact that he can get killed by his own hand getting crushed into pieces is such a tragically beautiful irony. We can agree that dying is probably the better path to turning into Wendigo, so having Josh, so troubled yet amazing character, getting basically freed from his pain by his own sister, with his nightmares finally getting crushed in the process, makes this entire moment for me truly unforgettable. The brutality of the death itself, the way the story influences this moment, and the fact that Hannah in some way gives her brother Josh a peaceful end to his tragic story makes it, in my opinion, not just the most memorable, but in my opinion, best death of Until Dawn. If there is one thing the Quarry has an advantage over Until Dawn, it's not just a general variety of outcomes and choice paths throughout the game, but also the amount of deaths. Seriously, Until Dawn has like 20, while the Quarry has over 60 deaths with an insane variety and such a high quality too. The entire Hackett Showdown has so many good ones. Chris's potential rampage where he can kill his entire family, maybe even Ryan by smashing his face with a shotgun. I mean, damn. Travis murdering Laura in either human or werewolf form with a broken mirror piece, and then him and Ryan shooting each other's faces with a shotgun? Just damn. I mentioned how many different scenarios the Kaitlyn Dylan Lodge sequence can have. One sees Kayla getting killed as she fails to shoot Caleb, just for Dylan to then find her corpse in disbelief. Amazing. Generally, all of Kaitlyn's deaths are insane. Same for Emma. We already got Jacob drowning earlier, but the man can also get shot by Ryan, land face first in a bear trap, and even sliced in half by Chris. I mean, what the fuck? Jacob delivers also a memory kill on his own though, as he absolutely brutalizes Emma and even rips off her head in his rage, which is quite ironic given their story. And this death is actually quite similar, but not as insane and memorable as the death on the top of our list. Max and Laura are a couple, Emma and Jacob have their toxic thing going on, and both Dylan and Kaitlyn have a thing for Ryan. Sweet. That leaves us with two more counselors remaining, in this case Abigail and Nick, with Abigail definitely having something with Nick, somehow, you know, having similar feelings for Abigail, even though he's a bitch for kissing Emma earlier. Fuck you. But yeah, they both can have a moment together, kiss together and all that kind of stuff, but it will all take a gruesome turn once Nick is attacked by the werewolf in the woods, which can lead to, on your choices depending, a riffing moment in chapter 6. They can have a few sweet moments before the inevitable happens in the bathhouse. Having further turned Matt to his infection, Nick becomes more and more hostile and is ultimately about to turn. The player doesn't fully know yet what will happen, but given the fact that he literally throws you around with one arm, you should take the shot, right? With the shotgun. If you ultimately decide to not fire off the gun, you are about to witness brutality. Nick turns into a werewolf in jaw-dropping fashion. The score, the way this is executed, absolutely bone-chilling. What follows is him leaping towards Abigail and absolutely brutalizing her, ripping off her head, throwing it across the bathhouse for everyone else to witness. Her lifeless body drops down as her frozen and terror face remains on her severed head, creating one of the most iconic frames of the game. Your choice to spare Nick leads to this absolutely insane moment that leaves no jaw on dropped. The entire scene with the transformation, the fact that Abigail still has feelings for him and actually maybe even kisses him, even though he was a bitch and kissed her best friend, all leading up to this moment where he killed her after she spared her in such brutal and horrific fashion, makes this kill for me best death. Hey, that's not fully it. Given that we just basically went through the golden chainsaws of the game, how about we also give off 2 Dull Machetes for the lamest deaths of both games. Granted on, this goes to Ashley getting her eyes gouged out in the lodge. Not only is this kill very rare, but it's also literally an exact copy paste of Emily's deaths in the mines. Lazy. And for the Quarry, it absolutely goes to Max getting killed by swimming to shore. I mean, come on. Really? That is how you let Max's story end? You do not have him reunite somewhere or have him to be needed anywhere else. You just have him get killed like that. So lame and anticlimactic. Truly the lamest death of the game. Okay, this is now it for the video. If you enjoyed me going in a very much detail through some of my favorite video game deaths and 2 of my favorite horror video games, then glad if you like down below to show that you did. If you enjoy what I'm doing and want to see more of the Quarry content in the future, which I have planned, then gladly leave a sub as well to not miss out on that, just like you maybe don't want to miss out on my other Supermassive Games playthroughs. Rory the Man of Medan, I will be starting Little Hope this weekend, with obviously House of Ashes coming after that and The Devil in Me coming out later this year, so a lot to look for. Other than that, I hope you have a wonderful day, have a great start into your weekend, stay safe, healthy and happy, and given we already parodied that meat enough in this video, let's end like this with people. Thanks for watching.